One goal deficit going into the second leg of a Champions League semi-final, going down in the 4th minute to a goal like that. You showed your composure and really got back into the game throughout. How do you see the tie at the halfway stage?
Half time, and my message was exactly the same after beating Real Madrid 3-0 here. We have to go now to Paris and win them and beat them and be better than them. And we had certain difficulties in the first 15 minutes. Credit to them as well, the way they get out of our press in the first while the individual quality is enormous, the finishing quality the same, and then we built momentum, and we were in many phases of the game much better than them. But when we had the big chances and the goal disallowed, the margin was so small, and the keeper made a big difference.
Yeah, Donnarumma outstanding. Talk me through that goal, because it looked like it was in. It took them a long time to check it, that crowded box for the automatic offside.
Yes, but unfortunately they given the decision and it wasn't on. It was the perfect moment just at the start of the second half to get certain momentum, and very unfortunate that it didn't go our way.
Vitinha, man of the match performance tonight, absolutely exceptional. And Marino, you brought him to this club for a reason, and dropping back just missed that outlet. You will, of course, have Partey back for the second leg. How much do you think will that help you?
Yeah, we'll have another number. We are very short, as we know, to change the game as well. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. Now we're going to prepare very well for Saturday first, and then our trip to Paris to try to win that Champions League final.
How proud are you of your team and your belief that you can get into the final?
I mean, the way we played, this team is one of the best teams in Europe. There is no question about that, and what we've been able to do in many moments on the game. Credit to the boys, but disappointed with the results.
In a really tough moment, 4 minutes in, to concede a goal like that, but then to come back to the situation, nearly getting back in via the disallowed goal. 1-0 down going at half-time into the second leg. What do you say to your teammates as you come off that pitch?
No, I mean, I think everyone is a bit disappointed with the result. We wanted to win here today, and we wanted to do better in certain areas. But yeah, it's just half-time. We have another game, and we have to analyse today, learn from it, and make sure that we go full gas into the return leg and be convinced that we can turn it around. So yeah, that's the aim now.
Donnarumma with some brilliant saves, and you really seem to find that balance coming into the second half with Partey coming back in and Marino being able to go back further forward. Do you think you'll be able to unlock Vitinha and what he does to control the ball in that area?
Yeah, they have some great players and they play really good football. But as I said, we have to go full convinced into the second leg. We have to look back at the game today, analyse it, and make sure we learn from the few of the lessons we got today, and then yeah, it's another game to be played, and we're going to be ready.
You were fully aware that the quality of this team had changed since the team that you came up against in October, and that really showed. But in a sense now, 1-0 down going to Paris, will you be able to play with a bit more of a freedom, a bit more of a freestyle going there?
I don't know. I felt like we were ready to do that today as well. Obviously, with the early goal, changed a little bit the momentum of the game and everything. But yeah, we're going to go there. We're going to go full gas, and we have fully believed that we can turn it around. You know, we have amazing quality. We have top players. We've done it in the Bernabeu. So yeah, we're going to go there and really go for it.
Tactically, they were excellent. I think organisation. How they pressed and organised press on Arsenal's goal kicks, and then went into a lower block, let Arsenal have possession and tried to hit them on the break, and could have won the game by 2 or 3. So I think they got it spot on. I think for Arsenal, I was a bit disappointed with how they played, disappointed with the fans as well. I think the fans against Real Madrid were excellent and really pushed the team. I thought tonight they were a bit subdued, a bit. It was almost like an anticlimax that Arsenal beat Real Madrid, that they're going to walk into the final and win the competition. The fans had to be there for them tonight, and the players had to show up, of course, but I think on both sides it wasn't good enough tonight for Arsenal.
Yeah, maybe the fans hadn't been watching close enough what this PSG side have been doing this season. They might refer back to October and think we beat them 2-0 then, we're the same side, but this PSG side are not the same side, and they're clinical.
They are, but I feel, you know, a lot of the Arsenal fans will go away really disappointed, like you're saying, but, you know, to some extent, PSG, there was more in it for them of how poor Arsenal were in stages of the game. And look, for me, Arsenal, yes, very naive in the first half, and the way they pressed. We noticed a big change in the second half. and there was a bit more of a Champions League feel to it, a bit more slowing the game down, trying to, get hold of the game and not to lose the game. And look, it's still 90 more minutes, of course it is, but it's a big ask for them to go there and get a result. I understand that, but I think they'll just be disappointed in the way they started, because like Wayne was saying there, the energy that's created, in the stadium and from the Real Madrid game, didn't quite feel. I think when that goal went in, it took away the VAR, it took the stuffing out of everyone in the whole stadium. It
felt like that would have been a huge momentum shift, because they'd started that second half exactly how you'd want them to, Clarence.
Yeah, winning some matches is one thing, and winning the Champions League is another. I think the fear to win kicked in today, and I'm an Arsenal fan in terms of how they've played over the years. But the thing I've always said is that for them to really elevate to that winning club, that winning team, there has to be a shift in mentality. And today I saw some elements that either they choose to get out of it in the second leg, because for me, if they would play, actually I saw Paris Saint-Germain doing what I expected Arsenal to do. Knowing when to press high, go low and sit back and just wait for the opponent to, force a pass and then counter-attack. I mean, this is how you have to play the Champions League, and I didn't see that at all from
Well,
Arsenal.
for every single Arsenal player, it was a first semi-final in the Champions League. Was that lack of experience the difference, Daniel?
Lack of experience, I think both sides, have players who are experienced and who aren't.
Paris Saint-Germain, more players, though, played through the Champions League up to a final.
I mean, yes, but by the same token, these are international footballers we're talking about. We're talking about guys who have played in, European semi-finals, finals, World Cups done. They've played on the biggest stage, so we can't make an excuse about experience. At the end of the day, I feel like, personally, the yellow card for Partey, it proved costly this leg. It was no Partey, no party. It's, for me.
So far, the party's on hold.
I mean, yeah, but...
It's finished. You guys are talking like it's finished.
No, you're talking... I didn't say that. I did not say that. No, but let me finish. Because when you look at how they defended within the game, he brings solidity, he brings that defensive awareness. I think Declan Rice on the ball tonight in phases was magnificent, driving forward with the ball. But on the other side, Merino's been playing false nine. So it is a unique thing we talked about before the game, about changing that tactical awareness and going, okay, I'm an attacker now. Now I have to focus on the defensive possibilities that I need to worry about. And I think for me, they lacked that solidity in the midfield.
To Daniel's point, should we have a look at the goal? Because we can see there where Partey might have made a difference there, Wayne.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really good pass. Breaks the lines, and then Dembele gets the ball, gets driving at the Arsenal defence, and then he plays that wide. Now Arsenal have enough time to recover, and I think Declan Rice just makes the wrong decision. He comes in, he thinks he's trying to cover, of course, that's what's going through his mind, cover his teammate, but I think by leaving that space at the edge of the box, that's where the danger is, that's where obviously Dembele's...
And if we also could highlight, that ball was a great ball, but what was actually really wrong is that the player on the left side stayed on the left side when the ball was on the right side. I mean, you have to shovel, then the ball would never come. There were so many moments where they could avoid it, a attack of Paris Saint-Germain, just because they wouldn't move 10 meters.
It's in the quarter-final, semi-final, final of Champions League, the details of what you're talking about, that's what wins you them or loses you the competition. And I think today Arsenal just didn't get a lot of the details right, and that's what's cost them the game.
I don't look at that goal and say it's Declan Rice's fault, because on the other side, Merino makes a defensive run back. By the same token, he ran into a position. He didn't run towards the ball. So, we can say, firstly here, obviously, Merino's goes to press. He's out of position. He makes the run back. If you look where Dembele is now, look, he's one-on-one with Kvaratskhelia. You're thinking, okay, I'm going to give him a bit of help. Merino's tracking back to the penalty spot. He's not gone towards the ball to affect what's going to happen. The cutback is there, and by the same token, you can see Rice is going over to help. So if my mate's going over to help in the other position, you see Merino now, he's just worrying about getting back into position. He's not worrying about where the ball could be played. So for me, I would say it's a,
There's a lot of errors, isn't it?
There's a lot of
errors in that. And I think we just need to remember it's not because of Declan Rice is not used to that position. I've been in that position, what you were saying, Clarence, there with Martinelli, who wasn't quite sure if he had to come inside. He's worried about, Hakimi and an overload on that side, so he's drawn towards that. I've been in that position, and then I would feel a little bit uncomfortable coming into a centre midfield position, but that's where players, the experience you're talking about,
Yeah, exactly.
about recognising danger and staying to that position, and then that could have been avoided by a lot of the players.
It's also logics, no? I mean, the ball is on the far other side, on the left back position. At that point, your right back is not important. You need to go in close. Those are the basic things that had to happen, and I think the reading of those situations. Well, I think you're right. He was worried about Hakimi, but that was not the worry. At the end, Dembele was the most important player.
And we're going to look at positives. Partey is back next week, which will give some solidity to Arsenal.
Without question, I think it's, you know, it speaks to itself. The team now will pick itself next week, and I just feel that element we spoke about before the game with, you know, playing a system and used to a system, and now all of a sudden it's completely been torn apart by a decision. Is really unusual to see Partey reacting that way. So for me, it's a big
Hold your
miss.
thoughts just for a moment, because David Raya is awaiting. He is with Gabriel Clark.
A lot of effort tonight. What's the verdict?
Well, they started very quick with a goal, and I thought they dominated the first 15-20 minutes, but after that I thought we dominated most of the game. We created the chances. Donnarumma made some brilliant saves, and it's only half time. We take a lot of positives from this. We know they are a top team, but credit to the players for the effort that we put on the pitch, that we could have won the game as well.
Were you caught a little bit cold with the goal? It was a 26-pass move. They seem to get through very easily.
Well, we know they keep the possession a lot, and they're really, really good at that. And obviously they had that chance and they put it back in the net, and obviously that went for them. And that's just football, and we had the chances to score, but we didn't manage to put the goal.
Well, you put the ball in the net just after half-time. The margins were so tight. You didn't have that lift-off moment. You heard the roar of the crowd when Arsenal scored. Just needed that lift-off moment tonight, didn't it?
Yeah, I've not seen the goal back. Well, the disallowed goal from Mikel, but we needed that. I think we needed that lift, and we showed from the 20th, 25th minute from the first half that we can win against any team, and we showed this season that we can win in an away game as well. So we're going to go to Paris next week to win the game.
Did you lose a bit of balance, do you think, with no Thomas Partey? Having looked so good against Real Madrid, just did it affect things not only in midfield but in attack? Well,
we know how important Thomas is for us, but luckily enough we have a good depth in midfield and in the team that everybody kind of stepped in, and obviously it was Declan who played as a 6, and I think he showed a great game as well. He was really, really good on the ball, and I think everyone was really good today.
It's make it happen, the Champions League motto. You've seen it. It was there on display tonight. So how do you make it happen next week?
Just try to approach the game the same way. I thought we played really, really well, and we put them in the back foot. We hurt them a lot. I know they created their chances as well, but that's part of football. But we created a lot of chances as well. So just approach the same way, and we know we can win against any team.
And of course, it could have been a lot bigger, one goal bigger, the PSG margin, but for a great save by yourself in the first half.
Yeah, I'm there just for the team, to try and help the team as much as possible. And luckily enough, I managed to save the ball, and I'm just happy with that save. So just let's go next week against Paris, and in Paris, and then let's win the game.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Make some important saves tonight, David Raya, and those Arsenal fans leaving here tonight will be grateful for that. They'll also be grateful that some of those chances PSG had towards the end of the second half didn't make it in the back of the net, because taking 2 or 3 goals in terms of Paris Saint-Germain's lead back to their place would be a totally different prospect.
And this is what I was talking about, you know, still being in the game when they've had opportunities to take it away from Arsenal. And again, Arsenal had some really good chances themselves, but PSG, I think Raya there's talking the fact that clear chances for, you know, that's a fantastic save for PSG, weren't as clear as Arsenal.
These ones coming later in the second half.
Yeah, but you know, there's opportunities for them to still be in the game. So they're still in the game. Look, massive moments, and we're talking about this would maybe potentially kill the tie if they go into PSG 2-0 up. And that's what I was saying about PSG would be disappointed is only one. You know, and this one is an incredible chance as well. I feel it's just a big miss.
I think when we look at the chances, we can say, yeah, they got away with it, and almost similar to the end of the Aston Villa game where we're thinking, okay, they've scored that extra goal and it's kind of killed it off. With this one now, it leaves Arsenal with so much hope. They know that they've missed one of their best players. They're going to be going into this next game, feeling confident, to be honest, because I do feel that they can cause PSG big problems. They weren't at their best tonight, clearly, and I do believe Arsenal have the capabilities to go out there and win the game.
It's very difficult to do interviews after the match and do a good analysis of the match, because sometimes the feeling doesn't really match the reality. But I do hope you will have a good look at the match tomorrow, because it's important to understand what went wrong, right? Because it's the second leg, I think Arsenal have so much things to learn from today that can help them. It's not so difficult, because we have seen Paris Saint-Germain going difficulty the moment you have an organised defensive team in front of them. So
I think what's happened there is I think Mikel Arteta has probably gone in and tried to be as positive as he can be, and David Ray has given that message back out, because certainly what he said wasn't what happened
necessarily
in the game. But I think for Arsenal, I think there's a fear. I think over the last few years, psychologically, there's a fear of just not getting over the line. We've seen it with, they ran Manchester City close a few times in the league.
Yeah.
They've ran Liverpool a little bit close. Now they've beat Madrid, they're close in the Champions. I think there's a fear psychologically. There's a hurdle they have to get over.
You know, they were out in the quarter-final last year after a 6-year absence. They've got to a semi-final. Even if they go out, there's progress.
But you need to be successful as well to build. That's the only way you can build, is being successful in certain ways on the way to that journey to get to that top. And I just don't think they're making them steps.
I think this result might actually help them to be free in the next match. They have nothing to lose.
Well, they put all their eggs in this basket, haven't they?
Yeah.
Look, they beat Madrid away. The expectation was they're probably not going to get through, right, around the place. I believe they thought tonight we can go toe-to-toe with this team. They're good enough to do that. I think PSG are in a similar position to Arsenal in a sense. They've not won the Champions League. You know, they're still building as well. They had the Galacticos with the Mbappes, the Neymars, the Messis, a team that they would have anticipated would have brought them a Champions League. That's not happened. Now they have a team that is young, hungry, with experience, that are doing well. So by the same token, I think they're in similar positions as clubs, and they both are trying to search for the next step.
OK, I think we can hear from PSG. Vitinha is with Gabriel.
Vitinha, well done. You've had some great performances this season at Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, but where do you place tonight?
It was a great night, but mostly for the group. I think it was a very, very good performance for the team. Mainly, we have the ball in most of the games. Sorry, we controlled the games with the ball, and this game we had to adapt to the different circumstances that the match had, and we did it. We defended well, we attacked well. It was a very good game for us, from us. It was a really good, strong, solid performance.
Did we see the very best as well of Paris Saint-Germain after 4 minutes? A 26-pass move. I don't know if you're aware for the goal.
I didn't.
26 passes.
I was not aware, but that shows the dynamic that we have, the strong collective that we have, and we have to continue like this. It's not over. We have to do a great match in the second hand and in Paris, and we are glad to come here and to win.
You had a few chances near the end. Should it have been more, or are you also grateful to your goalkeeper again?
Both. I think Gigio had a great match as well. But like I said, the team, it was really the key for this game. And yeah, we could have scored more as well, but we are glad with the 1-0, and we're going to do everything in our power to take the win with us and go to the final.
And you'll likely, of course, face Thomas Partey next week in your midfield area. Arsenal will feel he will make a difference.
I don't know. He's a very good player, and we always want the good players in the field.
Well done tonight.
Thank you.
Well played.
We spoke a lot about Vitinha and the midfield ahead of tonight's match, and how that was maybe the area that the game could be won or lost, and that Vitinha would want to pull the strings tonight.
What I found really interesting as well, for talking about two inexperienced teams to some extent in the Champions League, is the way he said about adapting. They've learned a lot from previous history of the fact that they managed to adapt their style tonight, and understood there may be moments that they would have suffered, maybe suffered more than they expected to suffer more, But I just think it's very fascinating to see a player being able to have that space on the pitch to say, look guys, we're talking about players getting hold of each other and adapting in the right time, the right moments, and he 100% did that tonight. And I think he was absolutely fantastic to watch and to perform. But look, he knows it's not over. He knows he wants to challenge himself against the best players. So look, this tie is still on. I think people need to realise this. It's a long way still.
And they might have the same issue as Arsenal had today, right? Playing home, pressures on the whole week. Everybody's talking about it. Let's see how they will cope with it. But the thing is that tactically, really, they have actually played the game that Paris Saint-Germain wanted, giving a lot of space with the most technical players on the midfield, being very far from the goal, so with space to make runs. The adjustment will be easy. Now it's a matter of do they believe in it as much as they should.
Well, Arsenal have now gone 6 semi-finals without a goal, and one almost came within 4 minutes of the second half. Marino's goal took about 3 minutes before VAR decided it was offside, but you saw it straight away, Wayne.
Yeah, you can see with your own eyes, so I don't know why it took that long, but it's a good ball and obviously a good header, but I think he is just slightly offside. The frustrating thing is the amount of time it took to...
Because actually the energy was good for Arsenal, wasn't it? And then if it had been given offside straight away, that energy kind of maybe was still there. It got sucked out of the whole place.
But that was the surprising thing. I mean, you're playing home. This is where you have to give energy from minute 1 till the end, right? Because now the next match you won't have that advantage in terms of manpower. So it was a bit disappointing.
But players need help, and the players need help. There's games you go into, and I thought the fans here against Real Madrid were fantastic. The best I've ever had at the Emirates, and thought they really give a massive amount of energy to the players, and you've seen what the players done on the pitch. And I thought tonight they just didn't give them that same energy, and in big games in semi-finals of Champions League, maybe that might be the difference. So I think the fans really had to give a little bit more time. Listen, fans have been through a lot here at Arsenal, and I'm not blaming them, but I feel if they brought the same energy what they brought against Real Madrid, it might have lifted the players by 5%.
When they played away at Real Madrid, they were very, very good. We talked what you talked about in terms of adapting the style. They played a very different style in the second leg than they did in the first leg against Real Madrid. So why can't they do the same this time? I truly believe they can. I have belief in this squad of players at Arsenal. A lot of their best players didn't perform to their best tonight, and they're going to want to put it right next week. So I'm anticipating a great performance from them, and it's going to be the best. Who the best man is going to be, what the best team's going to win.
And one of these nights, Donnarumma's going to have an off night, isn't he? Because yet again tonight he put in some exceptional saves.
And we're talking about obviously an Arsenal team that haven't performed at their levels, but they have moments where they still could have got something out of the game and not even performing well. And the fact that Daniel's saying about, I believe as well, because when you're still not performing at a level, but you still have these clear chances and to be in those positions. And yeah, it didn't quite go their way tonight, but this is what we're talking about. We're talking about an Arsenal team who can create moments when they're not performing well. And I mean, this one for me, Donnarumma, is an incredible save. Trossard does everything right. Maybe he doesn't hit it as clean, but we saw Dembele's goal. He didn't hit clean, still going, but incredible save, and he was at his best tonight, and he was an absolute man-melter. He really was.
It looks like the type of keeper that if you put it to the side, his arms are that long that he's going to save it. It's almost like you have to shoot closer to his body or around him, like right near his face, because when you shoot his arms, it seems like he's got such a big wingspan. Yeah.
You know what's a good idea? Top corner.
Not everybody has that Techers, Clarence, okay?
Well, he has been the difference, hasn't he, in so many of their matches throughout this season, and this tonight, Arsenal's first defeat at home in the Champions League this season. But to your point about, next week is a new week. Obviously, for PSG, they were 1-0 down against Liverpool and went back to Anfield. And on that night, we thought the difference would be Anfield for them. This is a team that has obviously learned to win in different ways through the Champions League this season.
Yeah, and, I think for them, there will be pressure at their stadium to get the job done. The fans will be anticipating a similar performance to tonight. For Arsenal, they've got to go there with no fear like they will, and they're going to have a game plan that's going to ensure that they can be at their best. OK,
let's get some reaction from the manager. Mikel Arteta is with Gabriel.
Mikel, a lot of frustration, a lot of energy tonight. What's your verdict?
Well, disappointed with the results. Obviously, we put so much into the game. It's true that the first 10-15 minutes we struggled to get momentum and to get the dominance that we wanted to find, especially because we weren't very efficient the moment we regained the ball and where we won it, and that caused us a few issues. But regardless of that, they didn't have anything apart from the goal. It's a very individual moment. That's the margins in this in this level, and after that, I think the team went better and better and better, and disappointing not to get a draw at least.
It was a 26-pass move for Paris Saint-Germain's goal. Do you look at that as great play, or do you look as well at your team maybe being caught out of position a little?
There is always, credit to them because they get out from a situation that is completely closed. It's in the weak side. That's what they do. They bring the 9 very, very far from the reference of your central defenders, and after that, a lot of things have to still to happen. We have 7 players behind the ball when the ball arrives to wide areas. That's what they do, and they were very clinical. So sometimes you have to just recognize the talent of the position.
There was a great noise throughout tonight, and most of all early in the second half when Merino scores. You just didn't have that lift-off moment.
Yeah, well, that was a great timing, and that's the margin. That's millimeters offside. The action of Martinelli is through one-on-one. The keeper makes a big save. He's done it in the previous games against Liverpool and Villa. Leo Trossard is completely on one-on-one as well, and he makes the save. That's the margins. That's the level at in this semi-final.
Thomas Partey was has been such a part of what you've done in the Champions League, and especially in the last tie. Did you miss him tonight?
I don't know. I think Declan and Mikel, they were enormous today.
He'll add something, though, coming back, Thomas, in terms of what he does give you maybe in the balance, both in midfield and in attack.
He gives options. He gives us a different threat as well in the box. We're having Mikel the possibility to play him there. He gives us flexibility and options to change the game as well. So it's all good.
So what do you learn from tonight for next week? Listen, I know you'll review the tape, of course, but what do you take sort of instantly about tonight and your feeling for next week?
That is half-time, and we have a big chance to be in the final.
Make it happen, as the banner says.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's advance from that question then. With a 1-0 scoreline, what does Mikel Arteta do differently next week in Paris?
I think he can't go away from the game plan, what they've had for the majority of the season, how they play, and I think if he tries to change too much, then the players mightn't be used to that. So I think they have to just go there and be patient to keep themselves in the game at 1-0, and then towards the end they can gamble and try and get the goal if they haven't already got the goal. So I think the game plan shouldn't change in terms of what they've done all season. Slightly different to what it was today in the first half, I feel, but they have to just stay patient and have that belief that they can get to it out of the game.
I feel they need to get people like Bukayo Saka a bit more involved in the game, but isolating his fullback. At times he was not doubled up but tripled up. PSG, because they had the ball so much, their energy levels were just consistently high, so they had the numbers to get back to help in those situations. So I think they need to try and encourage that a little bit more, trying to get Martin Ødegaard and those connections, particularly on that side. But look, they created chances, just like Mikel was saying there. They're still in this game. They know that they can be a threat in some moments, but it's a completely different mindset going into this because they have to win. So they're going to have to take those risks in certain moments of the game, but also as well be compact.
You said it well, but that's Champions League, right? Every match you have to win, even in the 2-leg, knockout. You have to win all the matches. The mindset is that. So I think that now they will be free. I believe that the pressure is off now. You know, playing home can come with a lot of pressure, especially for a team that has not been there yet. So yeah, they have nothing to lose. They have the team to do it. They went to Real Madrid. Both teams went to actually I would say the most experienced clubs, right? Liverpool and Real Madrid. The difference that I've seen in PSG, they took the positive out of that and got better. And Arsenal, I think, slowed down a little bit mentally. Maybe that was the final for them. Oh, it was so important and difficult to win against the big Madrid. So maybe this was just a reflection, and the next match will be the Arsenal that we've seen in the previous matches.
Yeah, anything to advance on that?
No, I mean, I think it's going to be a tough game, you know, psychologically for the players, like Clarence is saying. They've got to be free in the mind, not worry about anything. It's going to be the biggest game in their careers, in a sense. Arsenal Football Club, how long they've been playing here, pushing for a Champions League, and they're very close, and it's very possible for them to do it. So they've just got to have the belief in their squad, which I'm sure the manager's instilling them. Didn't talk negatively. Raya talked positively also about the players that were on the pitch. They're going to go and analyse it, decide how they can improve and come up with a game plan, because PSG's fluidity and the flexibility all around the pitch caused big problems tonight, and it confused them a little bit. But going into the next game, they're going to come up with a new game plan, because clearly this one didn't work. and they've got to bring a surprise to PSG, which is what PSG did to them today.
It's their whole season, though, isn't it? You know, this is 1 week and 1 day away. They've got Bournemouth at the weekend. The league has gone. All the other cup competitions have gone. This is everything the next 8 days.
It is, but I think Arsenal are used to that over the years. They get to a certain stage of the season and things fall away, and that's not me being really negative.
Cheers, Wayne.
Honestly, Wazzy,
no, it's not me being negative. It's me being telling the truth. I'm telling the truth with it. That's what has happened to Arsenal over the years, so they're used to that. I think what Arsenal need to do is go in there, I think Daniel said them, with a belief that they can win. Listen, I want Arsenal to win. I want them to go to the final. I hope they win the competition. But they have to go into that game with a belief. You'll be seeing from the PSG away fans tonight, Arsenal need to be ready for a real hostile atmosphere. They have to be patient. They have to slow the game down at the right times, take the ball at the right times, and then when they get the chances, be clinical. That's the only way they'll win over them.
And be compact. Every time we've seen PSG against a team that was compact, they had difficulty because their players need a bit of space to do their stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how the reaction will come next week.
Let's get some reaction from PSG then. Luis Enrique. Yeah, there is just one more match, but it's also just 1 goal in it. I wonder what that will do to the way Luis Enrique sets his team up next week, Daniel.
Well, he posed a surprise today, because, you know, we thought maybe they'd be a bit more free-flowing, which they were in the previous matches, and they adopted more of a reserved approach where they were allowing Arsenal to, you know, advance, and they were allowing them to be pressed, and then they were playing through it, and it was a different style of PSG that we saw tonight. So will they be the same PSG tonight, or will they go back to their previous selves? We don't know. That they're such a explorative team who can adapt their styles with the technical players they have in midfield and in attack. You know, Dembele at times tonight was almost a boxing midfield. He wasn't a number 9. So they have so many different options within their team. It's on the other side, though. Arsenal have to figure out how they're going to deal with these players and not allow one-on-one actions like they did with Kvaratskhelia on the left and Doué on the right were causing big problems. They've got to try and stop those problems happening earlier on up the pitch, because once you allow them to get in those wide areas 1v1, it's going to be a tough time for your fullbacks.
Well, a lot changed with after 4 minutes, right? If you score so early, then you can definitely adapt your tactics at that point. I think they were trying to push, they were pressing high, and they got the goal early. At that point, I can go and sit back a little bit and wait for you and try to find my second goal. So it's only one goal, obviously. Everything is possible.
Theo, tell us why Arsenal can go to Paris next week and get the job done, and to prove Wayne wrong, that they can go the distance there. I know you want them to win.
They can do, but they have to be better than tonight.
You're saying they have to bring their boots, right? That's what you're saying. No, I feel like Arsenal...
Your boots.
No, I feel like they're going to have to do elements in the game today. PSG, like you were saying at half-time, they were winning free kicks. We all understand Arsenal's main strength is free kicks and set pieces, etc. And you go into a stadium which is going to be very hostile, and you have to frustrate them. So the players are going to have to be smart and slow the game down by winning these silly little fouls, trying to play the game, trying to lure these defenders in. That's what I was talking about, trying to isolate the wingers, and that's going to be their best bet at trying to win the game. And I feel like it's going to have to be set pieces just to get a result. I really do.
I'm our very own Paul Robinson's boot boy.
Was he really? Oh, Robbo taught him well, didn't he?
Well, yes. Robbo taught him everything he knew.
Good lad, well done, Robbo.
Well done. Now then, there's been a Dutchman or two made an impact in this competition down the years, has there not? We're with one tonight. Here's another who played for Barcelona in the final, I think back in 2006, speaking ahead of the game tomorrow night between Barca and Inter.
Our studio, ahead of the Barcelona match, we have a certain Mr. Ruud Gullit.
Oh, Ruud. Ruud, normally we are in Holland together in a TV show. Now you always travel to be in, and I think you play also a little bit golf. But happy to see you. I try to find the be-in broadcasting, but it's not easy in Holland. But I heard a lot of good things about you. Hope to see you soon in Holland again. Take care. Bye, Ruud.
Thank you. Why was Ruud such a special player in his time, and what were your special memories with him?
No, I'm a Dutch guy, of course.
Yeah.
And in the late 90s, Van Basten, Rijkaard and Gullit were playing at AC Milan. And every Dutch guy was for Milan because they were playing there. And I think Ruud was also a national team. They won the European Cup in 1988. After that, they won the Champions League with Milan a couple of times. It was an idol for me. Very big player, and also a very, very nice person. You hear it a lot, but it's really true. So I was watching him and enjoyed it. Especially the whole AC Milan team with Baresi, but of course the Dutch guys. And Inter Milan had the German guys, the 3 German against the 3 Dutch guys. So that was also a hell of a fight. But I was a fan of Ruud. I didn't told him. Now I'm telling him, of course. But it's really nice guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to tear up.
Yes, I'm you know,
That's
blushing
nice.
a little bit because it's.
I agree with everything he said apart from he's a nice guy.
No, I like Van Bommel because I followed him in my career. These are the players that is the jigsaw in a team. They do the work that other people don't want to do. It's the hard work in the central. Mikel are the same.
The same, yeah.
And they don't get all the credits. They get the credits from the players.
The water carriers, he calls us.
No, it's not a water carrier.
Ah, that's what he calls us.
No, I don't. No. These are the players that you need.
I'm only quoting Eric Cantona when talking about Didier Deschamps. That was the job he said.
But it was
he
in the
did.
old days.
And
That was in the old days.
I think there are different levels of water carriers.
Yeah, there are good water carriers.
There are very good, and Van Bommel was one.
It depends on the liters they have to carry. No.
And he probably set the benchmark, and then you come down a level, and then you get here.
Let's say the position has changed from when we when he played.
Has
when
it?
we played.
How has it
Of course,
changed?
it's changed. Now they have more license to go forward, isn't it? To get goals, create chances.
But you don't want
and
them
they're a bit
to.
more
You want them to
When
give
we
the ball
played-
to someone who can play.
When we played,
usually
when we
what the
played,
job is.
Mourinho used to
Just like a
scream from the
goalkeeper, you
touchline.
say. If you can't play, you play as a 6. No, that's bad. That's bad. That's what he says.
That's what it is.
That is what he says. No.
Sorry, we talked over that. Mourinho said what?
Of course, he used to scream from the touchline. You can't. There's no way you sometimes when you go above the middle and he's there.
Don't go over the
screaming,
line.
You can't, and you really can't. And of course, you've got John Terry right behind you, screaming at you, saying, "Where are you going? Stay there." Because you obviously have the likes of Frank Lampard, Michael Ballack, Didier, Michael Essien. They're all bumping forward at you. You can't go. Otherwise, everybody's exposed. So you have to be that guy who sits there. But nowadays, you see them, they're all everywhere. You know, Rodri has changed.
Vincent
the position.
Company had Nigel de Jong, who was once described to me as the deepest lying midfield player of all time. He played right alongside Vinny to protect him. But Van Bommel, if you were an idol, decided to take his career a different route, because he was never ever looked like a 10, did he?
No. He was a defending midfielder. I think he's the player that you need, and I liked his character. He didn't say a lot, but he was, tough to play against, hard.
It's a bit like Roy Keane, isn't it?
A little bit like that. So, and these are the players that you need in a team, and he was one of the players that
What was
important.
Rijkaard then?
Frank was also a midfielder, but was more attacking midfielder. Scored a lot of goals. Frank, also with Milan. With the national team, he played as a stopper.
Yeah, well, that's what was confusing me. I would have him down for that.
Yes, but the thing is, in midfield, when he came to Milan, he scored a lot of goals. Also, another one. That was the last jigsaw that you needed to have a team that could win a lot more than only a championship. And Frank was important in that because he was strong, technical, could bomb forward, and he had the right character. And Van Bommel had in his days the same thing also for the national team and for PSV Eindhoven. And then I followed him and I liked him. And he and Van Basten were not getting along a lot. Van Basten was coach, he didn't like him so much. So he said also in the TV show he was mentioning that he was a little bit, too rough with him. I think he needed to do it in a different way. So I followed Van Bommel a lot. He was PSV Eindhoven coach after that. Didn't go that well. Then he went to FC Antwerp and he won the title.
Do you guys see much of each other? And I noticed you on Instagram recently with Rijkaard and
yeah, we go
Van Basten.
dinner together, and we do that with the wives. We go for dinner, and I see Marco a lot because Marco, I do a television show with him. We also go to the same golf club together, and it's nice, to stay in contact with each other. We have something, like 20 years together.
Oh yeah.
So therefore, we live all in the same area. So we love to see. And the thing is, when we see each other, we don't talk about the past.
You don't?
No. We talk about now, what we do now, all kinds of things. No, not so much about the past.
He talks about whether it's a 5-iron or a 4-iron.
Here you go. Here you go. No, we don't talk about football, not at all. We just talk about life and how we enjoy it. And the families and it's nice. It's nice. And last week we were in Holland, and then we also Guus Hiddink was there also on the golf course, and Gus. And then we were sitting there. Gus came along, then also Marco came along, and we were chatting and things like that. That was about the past, and we had such a nice time. We stayed there for a couple of hours, and it was nice to see also Guus Hiddink, because now Gus is not a coach anymore. You was with him.
Oh, yeah,
he's not a coach anymore.
That's my dad, isn't it?
He's a lovely man. Had so many good clubs, and we talk about football, and we talk about things that we saw together, and it is nice. So that is the things that makes it all work.
It's a dinner invitation you wouldn't mind getting.
No,
yes,
I rather suspect we won't be getting that.
Henk de Kaat.
We met at the Chilton
They just told me we're not going.
Yeah, Henk de Kaat.
That's where we
as
meet.
well. You know Henk
Chilton
de Kaat
Fire,
as
not
well.
now, you don't.
Huh?
No, we do when we go back to London.
By the way, Henk de Kaat, was he also with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
For
Henk
one
is there.
season,
Was
yeah.
also yes. Henk is there as well. So there's all people from football that goes there. And and the club is good. We have Richard Krajicek. I don't know if you know him. Oh, you need to know him.
Who's that?
Won Wimbledon. Tennis.
Of course, that was. I thought
Of course.
didn't quite
He's a legend.
I never quite got the
pronunciation, but
Krajicek.
Is it Scrivening?
No. Richard Krajicek.
Oh, no, Krajicek.
Yes. Yeah, now he knows.
before this gets out of control, let's hear from both coaches that were watching a very good game tonight.
Luis, well done. You've had some great performances against English clubs in this competition, but to win here today, what's your verdict?
Well, I think emotions are at that level in those kind of matches that it's difficult to analyze a match like that. Very difficult to play, a great atmosphere. But I think we show the kind of team we are. We try to play in our way. We scored the first goal in the first 2 or 3 minutes playing the way we try to play. I'm happy. We suffer a lot sometimes of the match. We could score even the second goal, but I think there is still a second match, and it's going to be very tough.
Do you feel you should have scored more and won by more, or are you grateful to your goalkeeper again?
Well, that's the work of goalkeepers, no? Save the team, they work every single day for that. We need in that semi-final, you need all the players at the high level perform, and I think all of them for both teams, all the goalkeepers were great.
Did experience tell today, because you've been in a Champions League semi-final as a manager? Most of your players have been in a Champions League semi-final, but Arsenal haven't been in this situation before.
Well, I think it's not important in that moment when you feel that energy that both teams create into the pitch. I think we need to prepare the second match. It's going to be difficult. The result, it means a little bit of advantage for us. But I think we need to go through that match with same mentality, and we are going to suffer. We know that, and I hope we can, our supporters in our stadium and with our atmosphere, I think we can go through the final. That's our message, but there is still one match.
Yeah. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Oh well, tomorrow night, Barcelona play Inter. We start again at the same time, 2100 Mecca. The match kicks off 60 minutes after that. There is Arabic and French coverage available, should you prefer. I hope you've enjoyed our Dutch coverage tonight.
Yes.
As much as our English language.
I love it. I love it.
John Eben, Mikel.
Ik wil iedereen nog even een hele goede avond wensen. Het was geweldig.
Scott, same from me too.
The second leg here and what Arsenal can do. Obviously, they've got to score goals, at least one, and probably a few more than that. They also maybe need to be a little bit more shored up in defence. We talked about Kivior pre-match. Kenny, you're not 100% sold on him.
No, I'm not. A lot of people will be beating the drum about Arsenal turning this game over in the second leg, but for me, I don't think it's possible, and this is the biggest reason.
We are covering it live, Kenny, so let's just keep a little bit of possibility.
No, but you have to call it as you see it, and this leg's just a weak link in the team. It's as simple as that, and it's some poor moments this evening caused a lot of nervousness in the team. You know, that's a really poor pass. That's obvious enough at this level of football. It just can't happen. And even look, the weight of the pass into Lewis Skelly here absolutely drills it at him. I mean, it's a real worry. You kind of just get a sense of nervousness off him and a little bit of a mini panic here. There again, more precise pass than Belle's in. There's too many moments like this. There really is. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's out of his depth at this level, but I think if he gets stress tested in the second leg in Paris, and I think he will, I think he's going to fold, because it was a real struggle from their second half alongside Saliba. And as good as Saliba is, you can't carry somebody at the heart of your defence. You're talking about Partey coming in and get a bit of a screen in front. I understand that. Saliba alongside him. But there's going to be moments of the game he's just going to have to defend his area of the pitch 1v1 and make good decisions. And over the last couple of games that I've seen him, hasn't shown me anything new I don't already know. I think he's a decent enough skin, but at this level, I think he's weak and he can get at him. And the second leg, I think PSG will.
What I found interesting looking back at that package, actually, a lot of the problems there were in possession, in reasonably comfortable possession. It wasn't necessarily even just the defensive stuff.
Yeah, and it does send like a nervousness through the team as well, and even we talk about the fans being quiet when he's giving passes like that, and PSG are breaking at the heart of your defence because he's done a mistake. Then I think that spreads through the team. You know, the nerves or the tension. Such a big game. He did have a poor game tonight. I mean, he done okay in Madrid actually, and he got a bit of pretty high praise after the Madrid game. But then was it because Mbappe and co weren't at the races? But again, going back to next week, they're still very much in the title. Arsenal, don't get me wrong, but PSG at home are a totally different animal. They really are. They really go for the throat, and I think KVR will be asked some serious questions next week.
Luis Enrique is dead right about goalkeepers, isn't he? You know, you don't praise the postman for delivering post, Shay.
I was with them to break into full Roy Keane there. Do your job. Make a save. That's your job. That's the Spanish version of Roy Keane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's along those lines.
But he is right. I mean, Donnarumma made some big saves tonight.
Luis Enrique is an impressive character. You know, we've talked a lot about the job that he's done this season. Are we seeing the fruits of that now as this campaign develops, that they are the real deal?
Oh, they are, yeah. When you're in possession and out of possession, I think obviously what's held them back for a number of years really is a kind of defensive structure and even mindset, collective mindset, out of possession of football, having to carry players really out of possession of football. Mbappe, Neymar kind of spring to mind. I don't think you can do that when you get to the business end of this elite kind of competition. You know, everybody needs to be at it in and out of possession. So you really sense this group has come together in a very short period of time, because they weren't, when they first went to the Emirates early in the season, we saw a little bit kind of disjointed, kind of a work in progress. But, you know, 4 or 5 months later, it's you know, they're almost unrecognisable. They're together, they look like a real team. They're working hard for each other, backing each other up. They've got real individual quality within the team, but they're digging in for each other and showing a good kind of collective mentality when they need to.
They are a little vulnerable at set pieces. They've conceded a lot of those in their own domestic league this season, and they nearly conceded one today, albeit correctly.
Yeah, I'm really surprised with the line here. As a goalkeeper, like, I would not be happy at all how deep they are. They got away with it because obviously Moreno, as the ball's played, you can see it here, the semi-automated offside picks him up. He's in an offside position. But again, any touch from a forward or even your own defender at this stage, you've got no time to react as a goalkeeper. They're very, very deep. He is offside. That's what it shows you.
Took a while to get there.
But but if the line sort of starts higher up, Donnarumma, talk about Donnarumma, 6'7", he just comes and collects that. Because his defence is so deep on him, you know, it's going to cause a problem. And again, second leg, they'll depend heavy on set plays. They've only got, we talked before about the two guys at the back, and even Marquinhos is not the biggest. defend. Arsenal have got some big guys that can score goals.
It sounds to me like he's leaning towards when Partey comes back, maybe putting Marino up front again and just having that physical sort of presence.
Yeah, especially on Marquinhos, I think it's a good option to have. I think they obviously missed Partey in there, but they missed that physical presence up front. Every time they were kind of breaking forward, there wasn't that player to hit, the striker to hit. I mean, Trossard's a good player, but he was drifting out wide. He likes getting on the ball and running at players, so Marino's a good option for him. Obviously, he's not an out-and-out striker, but he's done well there in the last month.
Yeah, does that matter that he's not a natural striker? He's been pretty adept. He seems to have made an impact in most games.
Yeah, and it's worked, and they felt confident doing it, and I think that's a lot as well. The wingers are working off of him, getting the breaking ball, and especially Marquinhos. He's not the biggest centre-back, so he can dominate him.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think the slight weakness is Marquinhos. I don't necessarily think Marino will take advantage of that in terms of pace and getting on the shoulder. Physically, he might kind of out-jump him on occasions. But it was interesting tonight, any time Hakimi vacated his right-back position, he even came into central midfield, that hybrid position at times. And Marquinhos got himself isolated against Martinelli and had to drift out and deal with Martinelli. That was an issue for him, Marquinhos. He hasn't got the leg speed that he had 3 or 4 years ago. So that's an area for me. Can you get Martinelli 1v1? Not so much Marino up there getting onto the shoulder of Marquinhos, but Martinelli, can you keep him a little bit higher up the pitch, encourage Hakimi up the pitch or into those central midfield areas and actually get it to space around the Marquinhos, which I think Martinelli can do.
Arsenal need to be better, obviously need to be a good bit better, but do you think PSG can actually get better as well, especially as you say, Shay, playing in Paris?
Yeah, well, what I've seen and what we watched on here all season, especially at home, they're a different animal. I mean, they were good tonight, and again, the 2 chances at the end, they could have been out of sight. But at home, they're relentless. They're on the front foot. You know, Enrique mentions the crowd at home as well. I was there last year with Newcastle. It is a special atmosphere there. It really is. They don't stop singing for the whole game. You know, it's a big ask for Arsenal to go there and turn this around. But again, they went to Madrid, didn't they, and won the last game away from home. So they can do it. They're very much in the tie. And as Arteta says, it's only half-time.
It's only half-time. We will bring you the second half of that next week. As for tomorrow night, we're on air from 7 o'clock for Barcelona against Inter. That should be a cracking game. I need one of you to fill out the panel for tomorrow. Who am I looking at here? Sorry, Kenny, just because of your opinion on the penalty, I have to go with Shay. If you're OK to come on board tomorrow.
I'll be back.
There we go. Shay's back tomorrow night. Thanks to Kenny and to Shane for tonight. We'll talk to you again at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Take care.